So for me, this is just a rumor right now. I think that, people should maybe pay attention to it and look at what's happening and maybe decide for themselves. Or, you can wait for confirmation on what's going on. But this, at the very least, seems a little bit plausible, and I think that's not a good thing, but we'll see how it goes. It could be a strange time for everybody, but for me in particular, I think that this leads a little bit of clearance. So if you guys are wondering kind of what's going on, I'll sort of let you guys know. You guys might notice Microsoft does updates regularly every month. For the past couple of months, the updates have been 0 for the actual console itself. All the updates have been for like the handheld stuff, PC stuff, cloud stuff, right? So if somebody's just talking to you about those things, it seems clear that they're not really about the console stuff anymore, which is, pretty unfortunate if you ask me. But, again, it's not just about what I'm talking about. But the latest rumor that's happening is that Microsoft is having a hard time with the emulation going into quote-unquote next generation, right? So the thing that that they promise and all this kind of stuff, you're going to be able to emulate your stuff. If you look at whenever they're talking about stuff, to this latest update, they're like, okay, over 1,000 games now support Xbox Play Anywhere, making it easier than ever to switch between PC, console, and supported handhelds at no extra cost. Jump into games like Silent Hill 2 and Snake I.O. Your progress travels with you, including saves, add-ons, and achievements. Just sign in with your Xbox account on any device and pick up right where you left off. These are the games that were added to Xbox Play Anywhere in October. And it's like, 1000X Resist, A Pizza Delivery, BioWeaver, Bio Prototype, Brotherhood, Bucket Crusher. I mean, for the most part, it's games that are crap. Clover Pit, Chopper Strike, Dark Light, like games that I've never even heard on. Egging On, Heroes of Mount Dragon, Kentum, Kill It With Fire 2, Morsels, Nice Day for Fishing, Pigeon Simulator, Pocket Mini Golf, Sailing the Winds, Siberia, Total Chaos, Wild West, Hitting Objects, Winter Burrow, Young Sons, Trivia, Knowledge Trainer, The Quiz Game. Like, this is like, there's a lot of them that get added, and a lot of them are, they're pretty much only 2 of them that I've even heard of, which was like Snake Silent Hill 2.0. So, and obviously they did the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake or whatever is now Play Anywhere or whatever. But the rumor is, just to cut to the, whatever, is that the reason why Microsoft is pushing Play Anywhere so much, and maybe I didn't have it right all along, but the reason why is because they want as many games in people's libraries as possible to be playable on PC, so that it mitigates the loss when what happens next generation. They're basically going to sell you a PC, those that do go, and they're going to go, okay, well, you're going to be able to play your games, you're going to be able to do this or that, and you're going to be able to do this or other. So in this update, they're talking about this list of, they keep adding these big numbers of Play Anywhere titles, because they're trying to get as many as they can added to that list. That way, if everything's Play Anywhere, then you don't technically, quote-unquote, lose your games when they go and switch over to PC, right? That would be the thought process to it. The issue with that is, there's people like me, I have no desire ever to game on a PC, so it's, kind of an unfortunate situation. I have no interest in doing that. The other thing that they're talking about is to stream your own game things, right? So doesn't that mitigate the issue if people are like, okay, well, yes, technically we're not doing hardware anymore, and yes, you're not going to be able to play on your old hardware, but if you wanted to stream your stuff, or if you wanted to play your stuff on PC, that's possible. I think they would get probably less hate from that, but for someone like me, it doesn't really, I'm not about that. So in this update, again, they're like, we're continuing to grow stream your own game collection at Xbox Cloud Gaming. You can stream a library of 1,000 plus games that you own across supported devices, including titles like Brawlhalla and Resident Evil 3. So then they list this list of games like Ball Blast, Chicken Run, NBA Bounce, Pacific Drive, Resident Evil 3, Sea Fantasy, the Jackbox Party Pack 11, Superhero Demolition, Schoolboy Escape, Puff Up, Hot Wheels Let's Race Ultimate Speed, Ember Knights Heroes of the Nexus Edition. But anyway, my point is that the things that they talk about in here are specifically Play Anywhere, which is making you have a dual license so you can play your games on PC, and streaming. And I've already mentioned that previously that Xbox has kind of, when they had this Retro Classics thing, right, which if you guys didn't know what Retro Classics is, it's like this streaming thing, and you get it if you are part of Game Pass. And the thing is honestly, if you're part of Game Pass or whatever, and you're using that, it's a streaming only service. And when they originally came out with it, Microsoft had this big kind of thing. They're like, this shows that we care about game preservation and being able to play the past and stuff. But to me, like, streaming isn't preserving the past. It isn't really looking to the past and saying, okay, well, you know, we want you to be able to do this and we want you to be able to do that. It's not really the same thing because it's streaming. So you don't own those games. You can't play those games anywhere you want. You know, and that's, I think, a big problem. You know, it's like Microsoft is putting all their eggs in the baskets of PC and streaming, and I can't really for the life of me understand why that would be something that a console fan would care about or actually want. You know, it's like all their latest efforts are centered on those things. And again, I don't know if the plan is changing or whatever, but they haven't done, like, you know, as of, you know, the video, the end of year wrap up or anything like that. So, you know, they're skipping that. I mean, if you just look at the facts, it doesn't look like they care about the hardware at all. If you guys remember, during the FTC trial, it leaked out they were coming out with a new Xbox Series X. It was going to be like a cylinder. It was codenamed Xbox Brooklyn. It was going to have enhanced Wi-Fi, 2 terabytes. It was just going to be, you know, basically what we already had, but it was going to look sleeker, kind of a slimmer design, and have, you know, a few basic improvements. And the controller was going to be, which was nicknamed Seville, which was going to have haptics and things like that. So we were finally going to catch up to what, you know, PlayStation and Nintendo have, which is like the haptic stuff. The problem is that those things got canceled, right? This is like the first generation that I can think of that we didn't get a Slim. I mean, the original Xbox never got a Slim, but that was only on the market for 4 years. Like, people knew that the 360 was coming in year 3 of the original Xbox, and so, you know, obviously that was never going to get like a Slim or anything like that. But the Xbox 360 got Slims and different revisions. The Xbox One got many different Slim versions and revisions. This generation, I understand you might go, well, the Series S is already small, and I agree with that. But, you know, what we're seeing is that, you know, the ones that they did have planned were canceled, and, you know, there's no end of the year wrap up. They're not really talking with the fans anymore, interacting with the fans or anything like that. So it does lead you to believe that despite the fact that they're saying, oh, we plan on doing this or we plan on doing that, it doesn't really feel like they care about the fans, in my opinion. Like, you know, it could be sort of an interesting thing to see happen in the future, but again, it's crazy how this is kind of working out, you know, and you know, Microsoft doesn't seem to be too worried about, you know, what we think. You know, so that's a real kind of sad part, in my opinion. I think it's going to kind of depend on what's going to happen in the future, but Microsoft hopefully decides to do something that's going to be positive for the fans, because I've yet to see anything recently like that's actually for Xbox, right? Like I mentioned this, like Xbox is like, they tweet out stuff, here's the latest update for Xbox, and it's like ROG Ally, PC, the Xbox app, cloud gaming, Play Anywhere. There's literally nothing for months now for the actual Xbox console. No, nothing, and that's crazy to me, right? Like, I know it's December, and so, you know, they're working, probably a lot of staff is already gone or whatever, but it's like, you've gone back-to-back months now with zero, not even a stability update for Xbox, you know. So yeah, I think that's a bit of a problem, and hopefully they can, you know, obviously it doesn't just feel like they care much, or that they're working much on that. But what do you guys think about that? Like, they're mitigating their losses in terms of, you know, hey, well, hey, they can say your library is there on the cloud, or your library is there on a PC. Like, do you think they're doing that? Do you think there's weight to that? I don't know. Sounds plausible to me. Let me know. Rack 'em up. Crap Gamer out.